you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There, ladies, things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. For 16 years, 2,000 episodes, we've been bringing the Chris Voss Show. And boy, my back is tired. I don't know, is there a joke there somewhere? It sounds like vaudeville. I just pulled a joke out of, I don't know, something that somebody would do from black and white TV. Anyway, guys, we love you and appreciate you guys as our family. As always, for the show to your family, friends, and relatives, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, one of the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. The great, wonderful young lady we have on the show today, her newest, hottest book is just hitting the shelves May 14th. 2024. It's here as of yesterday. It's called The Hunter's Daughter by Nicola Solvinic. She's got her new book out, and we're going to be talking about her insights, what's gone into it, and why you should get on Amazon or wherever you find bookstores are sold and order it now. Damn it. Get it now. Just do it before we even talk to her, because it's that good. Nicola has a master's degree in criminology and has worked in and around criminal justice for more than a decade. She lives in the Midwest with her husband and cats, where she's surrounded by a secret garden full of beehives, which we'll get to more about what that is. Welcome to the show, Nicola. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get a chance to chat with you and your viewers.
There you go. And we mostly wanted to have you on, because your book is so great, but we also want to know about these darn beehives, so we'll get to that. Give us your .coms. Tell us where we can find you on the interwebs.
Sure. My website is nicolasolvinic.com, and from there, right at the top, there's Facebook, Instagram, and X. So you can just click and follow me there.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of your new book, The Hunter's Daughter.
Yeah, this is my new book. It just came out yesterday. Super excited for it. It finally feels real in tangible form. The Hunter's Daughter is about the secret daughter of a prolific serial killer who must catch his copycat using the tricks her father taught her in the forest long ago.
Wow. That's a hell of a plot.
It was so much fun.
That's a hell of a plot. Now, is this your first book? Is this your debut?
This is my debut. I mean, I've got some other books. Thank you. I've got some other books that are living in shoeboxes under my bed that nobody needs to see because they're that bad. But this is the only one that is fit for public consumption.
You may be able to tap into those for storylines and characters, maybe. There's always those practice ones. What motivated you to come up with this very interesting, intriguing plotline?
One of the things I've learned about working in criminal justice is that when a crime happens, there are ripple effects that affect the victim, the victim's family, the people who work in criminal justice, bystanders. These are substantial effects that really impact people for many years to come. So I wanted to kind of explore that in book form. This story, the original killer may be gone, but his daughter has to grapple with what he's done.
There you go. I mean, it's got to be hard being raised as someone who's related to a serial killer. I've often wondered that when I think it was Jeffrey Dahmer that I first looked at, where I was like, I think his mother, said she still loved him and she still cried for him in the courtroom. And I think that was when I was like, it's kind of weird. Your mother loves you in spite of everything. My mother doesn't. No, I'm just kidding. But, it's kind of, I've just kind of looked at it and said, it's interesting about human nature that, a mother and father will still love their son, even though they've, done some heinous acts. And I mean, maybe they're just doing the acting in court because they want to get the book rights or the movie rights. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure that's not what it is. But, it is interesting. Like you say, the fallout of people who are the survivors, I guess, of a crime like that. I imagine there's technically multiple victims in a family like that.
And one of the fun things about this book to write was that the protagonist, Anna Core, doesn't know that she's the daughter of a serial killer. She was subjected to some interesting psychological experiments that kind of wiped her childhood memories. And in the first chapter, she kills a man for the first time in the line of duty. And this opens up the memory she has of her childhood and of her father. So when his copycat starts working in her rural county, she has to kind of plumb the depths of her memory and try to put two and two together without revealing her identity to the people around her.
Wow. So she becomes aware that she's a daughter of a serial killer at that time, and she doesn't want to out herself to anyone else. Do I have that correct?
Yes, absolutely, because it would be the end of her career. She's working, a conflict of interest on this copycat case. Yeah. And, she'd be hounded by the press forevermore.
Yeah. Wow. And she's already on the copycat case, so she's kind of stuck there, and now it would look bad if it came out. Wow, this is going to make my hair stand on end a little bit. This is a hell of a plot twist. I mean, we've had hundreds of novels on the show, but I think this one is very unique.
Thank you.
And so your background is in criminal work and some of their stories, and we've had a lot of great novelists like yourself on that, they come from that era. They come from maybe working for the CIA, the FBI, or they come working from local police stations, or a lot of times they're journalists who their beat was the crime page, and so they would see all the the horrors and things that people do to each other, sadly, and it would give them different material that they could use for books and make up great dramas. In fact, I think we had one guy on who worked for the MI6. No, he worked for France's version of MI6 in the CIA, and he pretty much told me he's got a lifetime of stories he can remake into fiction. There you go. So it sounds like that's kind of what you've done with your background in criminal behavior.
Yeah, I never really did anything, that was super exciting. I was never a murder investigator or anything like that. I was mostly in the background, working with data and, policy and those kinds of things. But it was just it was a big help to be able to just absorb some of the things that become background information for this book, like the radio chatter or kind of one of my favorite anecdotes is when there's a police dog in the back of a police car, everybody tries to convince the rookie to go up and tap the glass, which is a really bad idea because the dog goes crazy. Just little tidbits like that help to kind of, I hope, make the story ring true.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. So you've got the anecdotes and the behaviors and the way to make it sound like an authentic police story. My mom loves this show that has a police dog in it that's a big German Shepherd. I don't know what show it's on, but I've been around a lot of police officers. I'm not going to say whether they were what the context was of being around police officers. No, I'm just kidding. But where they have the big German Shepherd police dogs. I had a friend who was one of my first clients who he trained them for the police officers and stuff. And so I would go down to his shop and he would put the arm sleeve on me, and I get to find out what that's like to have a dog rip your arm out of your socket. And those things are, you're not allowed to pet them, touch them, get near them. They usually have a big sign on, "Do not pet me," because they're kind of unsocial or something. I don't know. That's mean to say about dogs. But my mom watched this movie where the guy, there's no harness on this police dog, and he just kind of roams whatever he wants and do, and people pet him and stuff. And I'm like, that's not how that works in real life. Like, that just broke the fourth wall for me watching it. But she likes the show, so you got to let some things slide to fiction, I guess.
Yeah, you've got to kind of compress everything to make sure that you can kind of wrap up the case in 2 weeks. When in real time, it might take 2 years. Yeah. I
mean, they just have this dog just roaming every now and then sometimes when someone shows up with a gun, the dog runs off, and I'm like, that's not how those dogs work. They'll go for the arm, and but it's kind of interesting. So it's good to have those factual experiences that you have that you can put into the book of how things really happen, as opposed to, I don't know what's going on in this video. Maybe they were just this TV series, they're too cheap to hire a police consultant. So tell us about your upbringing. What were some of your influences, I guess? And then when did you start writing or think you had a knack for writing? And then when did you finally reach the point of this book where you got this thing into a publisher and now you're an author. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It still doesn't quite feel real. I keep pinching myself thinking, this isn't quite real yet. But when I was a little girl, I read every Nancy Drew book that was on the library shelves. And at that time, they were the ones with the yellow spine and the painted covers. And I was just enthralled by those, the girl detective going out and catching the bad guy. And, I really enjoyed reading that genre, as an adult. I read a lot of Jennifer McMahon, Laura Nassett, Catherine McKenzie, Georgina Cross, Karen Dion. I really like the trying to guess who done it. I like an intricate story where I don't know who the killer is in the first chapter. I want to be surprised. And that's one of the things that I love about reading in the genre, and I hope that I've accomplished in writing it, is I want to surprise the reader.
There you go. So how did you get your deal? Did you write this particular draft and you're like, hey, I really need to get this shopped out to someone? How'd you pick up the publishing and turn this story into the great over some of the ones you had in your boxes?
The ones I have in my boxes are in entirely different genres. And I thought, I'm just going to write this book for myself. I might wind up self-publishing it, and maybe, my mom would read it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. My husband will read it. I really didn't have high expectations for it. But like my previous books, I just plotted the heck out of it. I have outlines and Post-it notes stuck up on the wall, like, those crime scene things that you see in cop shows. String and, but this one, yeah. And this one, I just pantsed. When writers say they pants a book, they don't use an outline. They just fly by the seat of their pants and just do a stream of consciousness thing. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what I did this time. And I had approached my agent with it, and she, had minimal editorial things to change about it. Wow. And it sold within a week. I was shocked. Yeah. Totally shocked. This is not how this is supposed to work.
You've practiced and made a few that made the boxes, and it sounds like you finally found one. The plot is, it does make my hair stand on end. It's a great plot. Thank you. We sit and have 2 to 3 guests on a show, and I don't know, we probably 5 novels a day, probably hundreds we've had on the show over the years, and a lot repeat too. But yeah, this is a really twisty turny sort of plot. And it's definitely worth it. It would make a great movie too. Most of these tend to do.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be really a lot of fun. If there's any movie people out there.
I think it's funny how I've seen people try and write, and I've been in a few writing accountability groups. That's how I got my book written on business. And I've seen people write and they try and do the stream of consciousness dump, which is how I wrote mine, but most of mine were stories of my life, so it was just putting them on paper. It wasn't creating characters and the work that you guys do. But then I saw other people that were they would write 2 lines, and then they would try and edit the F out of those lines. And you're just like, you're going to do a lot of editing. Just get on the page, man, and work it out. And then I saw other people trying to, I don't think they ever got anything written. They just tried to write the structure of the thing, and you're like, you should really write some stuff. Maybe, you're focused on being perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. Any thoughts on that?
I definitely, agree with that. With the previous books that I've written, I was feeling very much like my inner editor, who is just really obnoxious and was just in my ear about how has to be perfect. And like you said, going back and revising this paragraph and trying. And now you just kind of kill the creativity and the spirit of the work that way. And, just getting it down is better. The perfect is the enemy of the good, like they say. So
the perfect is the enemy of the good. That's why this show is such a train wreck on how we do it, is because perfection is just bad. So that's why we're not perfect, folks. I think after 16 years, my audience has figured out that I'm an idiot. What other aspects of the book can we tease out? One thing with novels, we can't, tell the middle and the ending, of course. It's unlike when we do nonfiction, where we can talk about, how'd that presidency turn out? We can kind of talk about that. What is there anything we can tease out or flush out that maybe we haven't talked about to tease out to people to pick up the book?
One of the things that was a lot of fun in the book was writing an unreliable narrator. And it's written in a very tight first person point of view. So we have Anna's perspective from, when she was a child and when she was an adult. And another thing that I wanted to do with this book is I'm a huge fan of the X-Files. And one of the things that I loved about that show was that, you have one character who's, come up with a scientific explanation for things. And this explains the lights in the sky or the monster of the week. And the other character has a completely supernatural explanation for. And so it's up to the viewer to decide for themselves. And that's what I very much wanted to happen with this book. The reader is going to have to participate and decide for themselves which version of reality that they believe.
Wow. There you go. It sounds like most people I know on Facebook, they're still deciding which version of reality. I don't know what that is. But we've seen those people, and Twitter's full of them. So this sounds like quite the journey that people go on. So they've got to do a little bit of their own mystery solving. Is that accurate?
Yes. I wanted it to be something of a puzzle, so I hope people enjoy that.
People love puzzles. They love novels. They love these books. Why are people so intrigued with all the murdering? What's going on there with all the murdering? A lot of our novels that come on the show, there's lots of murdering. What's up with that?
It's kind of terrifying because, when you read, the police blotter or whatever, you think there, but for the grace of God, go I. I mean, you think that sometimes things like this can hit very close to home, especially, with random victims. I mean, somebody gets killed in the grocery store parking lot. Hey, I was at that grocery store, 2 days ago. So I think that in a way, it kind of plugs us into that fear that we all have, just existing in a society.
Yeah, fear of something happening to us, getting some murdering done to us, and you don't want that, folks. Trust me, it's not good. It doesn't feel good either, and it's pretty final. So there's not like
no do-over.
No do-overs. It's not like on the video games where if you die, you just respawn in. I hope people know this because I'm not sure if I'm enlightening people at this point or not, or if this just sounds funny to me in my head. And that's really the only place that's sounding funny. But I'm sticking with it. I'm just going to roll with it, people. So this sounds like a lot of interesting fun. People love suspense, of course. Did you find that writing the suspense was fun and trying to set up the scenarios of? I imagine there's a lot of pressure, since the character, she's the daughter of a serial killer. If that doesn't create a whole new thing that you spend 10 years in therapy over, and then you've got they might discover her secret, and she's just discovered her secrets. I imagine there's a lot of suspense and compression of suspense, I guess.
Yeah, she's actually acquires a stalker who knows her identity. So she's got to deal with that. And then also these bodies keep coming up that are copycats of her father's murder. And her father was called the Forest Strangler, and he would murder women and then take them to the forest and arrange these very elaborate scenes. They'd be holding bouquets and have flower crowns and have stones over their eyes and just these very macabre fairy tale kind of scenes. And now somebody's doing it again, and the body count is increasing. So she's got to catch her guy.
Stones over her eyes and scenes. And who hurt you, Nicola? No, I'm just
Actually, it's probably just my cat. I don't know.
Cats have a way of doing that. They're kind of like they're lovey half the time and assholes the other half the time. I think they hate. They're like kind of my huskies. They hate you most of the times. Does your husband sleep with his one eye open? His eye on you? After this book, I would.
I made him read it, and I think that he knows what to expect from me at this point. We've been married for like 20 years, so I think that he knows what kind of he's dealing with.
Yeah, cancel the life insurance, bud. That's all I can tell you.
No. Got to keep that policy current.
I'm always wary of any girlfriend I get who loves watching those murder things, and they're like taking notes the whole time, and you're like, why are you taking notes of the CSI murder thing? It's like they're just trying to figure out the best way not to get caught. And they're just like there was a gal that was in the news recently who was putting bleach or some sort of chemical into guy's coffee, and I'm just like, and he finally caught her, and I think she's getting just suspended because that's what he wanted, which is really weird. She tried to kill you, dude.
It's kind of interesting, yeah, because most of the time, if women are going to kill a guy, historically, it was always poison.
Yeah,
You could
that
get away
would
with
just
it.
take him to divorce court and take half his shit. That's a slow, painful death. I mean, I know most divorce guys that are like, I really would rather have my coffee poison. That's a joke, people. We're doing very dark divorce comedy now on the Chris Voss Show. Tune in next time. I use that as a callback for dark stuff that we do. Tune in next time for more divorce dark comedy. As if you weren't depressed enough as it is. Don't hit the bottle. Anyway, any final thoughts as we go out on how to pick up the book and give us a little bit of pitch out if you want for people to get out and buy it now.
Yeah, The Hunter's Daughter is available now at your favorite bookstore, online, in person. I think it's everywhere by now. Jennifer McMahon calls it genuinely creepy, and I hope that you will find it to be genuinely creepy too.
Creepy. This is a good thing. People love great stories. As long as there's no real murdering. The fake murdering good, real murdering bad. There you go. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It's been fun to have you on, Nicola.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to meet you, and it's great to meet your listeners.
There you go. And give us .coms one more time so people can find you on the interwebs.
Sure. My website is nicolasolvinic.com, and there at the top right, you'll see my Facebook, X, and Instagram.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming by. We really appreciate it. And thanks to us for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one on the TikTok, damn it. And be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And